Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Dawn.
Hey, good morning, Liz. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. And I will tell you, there's sunshine outside today, and that just goes through my whole body like, I don't know,
No, it's
sunshine.
great. We always seem to talk about the weather first, and I don't know why we do that, but it does has so much effect on our productivity, doesn't it? It really,
Yeah.
that's what I find anyway.
Especially
So
this time of year in our hemisphere because the days are shorter. It's like kind of like looking forward to those hours that are, the daylight. So
yeah. So you want to
yeah,
kick us off? You want to tell everybody what we're doing here?
absolutely.
How are you?
Yeah. So we're talking about the Great Resignation today and every day, Monday through Friday at 11. But who are we? What are we doing here? So I'm Liz Kitchell with Shimula, and a little bit about me. I was in the financial industry for over 20 years and left the financial industry 5 years ago to go out and do some money coaching. And I was realizing there's a lot of emotions that come up behind the money, et cetera, and helping women kind of like empower them with education so they become the heroes of their own money journey. But it's really interesting, we're really encountering people who are between the ages of 45 and 65 who are saying, I feel like I'm running out of time and money. I feel like I'm running out of time and money and I need to do something different, whether that's changing careers, finding more balance in their life, or finding a lifestyle business. They're looking to pivot their business, they're looking to pivot their careers, and they just don't feel like they have the time or the money to kind of create the life that they want. So
Right.
that's a little bit about the Great Resignation and who I am. Dawn, can you introduce yourself? Let's tell them who you are.
Let me see. Can I introduce myself? Yeah, I can introduce myself. So yeah,
Right.
Dawn Parks. Liz and I joined forces a couple of years ago. I had been playing in this arena for a little while, kind of as a side hustle, because I had filed bankruptcy and I've always had a good job, plenty of money, and it came out of nowhere that I needed to do that. And I thought, okay, I need to learn more, and found out that a lot of women my age really were just never trained. And so Liz and I have joined forces to support women in getting the training that they want or they need in the pivot that they are in their life. Or if you're looking out the windshield of your car, right? The windshield of your car is you've got retirement coming up, or you've got kids going to college, and you're trying to figure out where to go. And you're not quite sure what the right steps are, what's the right plan, and you feel a bit frozen. Liz and a friend of ours talk about being in a financial straitjacket, that you feel paralyzed. You can't, like your hands are like this, but you can't do anything. And we help you take off that jacket and really get focused so that you can really steer the car into the future that you want. Right.
Right. It's so amazing how that straitjacket becomes part of the skin. And
oh yeah,
we feel like it's stuck, it's not going to move, and this is just the way life is, and the straitjacket comes off. Really
if you want it to, but usually you've decorated it, right? You've
we get so attached to it, we bedazzle it, we put on a designer logo.
That's right. That's right.
The color.
This is my money story and I'm sticking to it. Right. My dad said, because my dad always said things like, your husband, I'm not going to teach you anything about money. Your husband will teach you. Well, I got married and my husband didn't know anything about money except how to not spend it. Right. And so that didn't work very well. So it was like who I was. My dad kept saying, you'll figure it out later. You'll figure it out later. I didn't figure it out. I have now.
Right.
But in these conversations, like what you and I have, and in the coaching that we do and in the courses that we lead, really people get to see the straitjacket, because it's kind of like, your glasses, right? Or your hair, or it is who you are. At least that's what you think, right?
Right. And it's the perspective through which you're seeing your life. And then when you go and declare something that you're looking to create in your life, you're going to be shown the areas where the stories keep you stuck.
Right. So like
we all go through it. Right.
Right. Well, so today we're going to be kind of looking at this notion of, it's not really a straitjacket, but it is something that creates a lot of limiting beliefs that operate in the background that you're not even aware of. I mentioned this idea of driving a car and looking out the windshield, and maybe you've decided you're going to retire now, or maybe you've decided you want to quit your job and you want to start your own company, or there's just something else that you're going to go and do. And when you look out the windshield, what do you see? Like, how far down the road can you see? And if the goal is on top of a mountain, you've got a good shot at seeing it. But if the road is, if the goal is right in front of you, there's junk in the way, right? So one of the things that we wanted to talk about was the nature of decluttering as
Yeah.
part of the preparation process, especially if you're moving from a corporate office or a physical environment and you're going to be moving into your house, right?
Right.
So Liz and I both have our offices in our house. And this is, I'm reminded of this because my sister went through a divorce earlier in the year and moved her physical office. So that took, we supported her as she was moving through the physical office, which was terrific. And it really opened up a whole bunch of great new clients for her, but it interrupted her house.
Mhm.
And then she's now putting the house on the market going into Christmas, right? So you can just imagine now we go, it's a divorce and then moving your business and then trying to sell your house. That's not different in many ways. It's like you're divorcing from the company, and there's a lot of people in the company that you love. You're physically separating, and then you're moving into your house, and you're having to reorganize your entire house for an office to really build a powerful business. Now, Liz, I know you have been going through the decluttering process actually with a professional. So you
Yes,
want
I
to
have.
share a little bit about why did you do that? Why did you hire a professional? And then
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about the impact it's had on each person in your house.
Yeah. So just like anything else, there are patterns that occur in the household, right? You walk
Mm-hmm.
in the front door, there's places you put stuff down. There you walk, you might cook dinner, there's places that you have a creative space, and sometimes it just stays messy because it's creative. But the thing is when you have four people in the house, everybody might have a different idea of what that looks like, right? But everybody has their needs that need to be met. So the really cool thing about working with a professional is she looks at the patterns and says, if
Mm,
there's an area that over and over and over again that keeps getting cluttered, then there's something that doesn't work for one of the members of the house, right?
right.
So, so two steps have to happen. The first step has to happen is you have to get rid of the stuff that no longer wants to be with you. So, there's things that you have in your life that you may have been attached to that you loved as a teenager, this, that, and the other. But the thing is if it's in a box, there's no joy left in that thing for you. You can look at it, you can honor it, you can appreciate for what it is, but there's enough joy in it for somebody else, right? And there's a
Oh, what a brilliant
benefit,
idea. That
right?
if it's in a box, it's no longer bringing you joy, but somebody else might get joy from it. Mm.
Exactly. So you can take this thing out, you can look at it and go, wow, that's really was so many great memories. Allow yourself to be grateful for the memories. Thank the item and say, now it's time for somebody else to have those amazing memories. It's okay
Okay.
to memorize. It's really okay to have one or two things as long as it's not getting in the way of your everyday life kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So for example, I had a box of letters from when I was an exchange student in Germany, and I pulled out
Mm.
this box of letters, and
So that was like college time, right? Or high
it was actually my
school?
senior year in high school, right?
That wasn't like 2 years ago. You've been hanging on to those letters for a while, right?
Right, and they came from my parents' house to my house, and they
Mm,
moved, I think, twice. So my old house and this house,
right.
and I was like, it's time. It's time for me to go through these things. And so my declutter was talking with me, and she said, look, this is not something that's really easy to do because there were
Mm,
letters written from my mom and written from me to my mom and vice my mom to me, and my mom is no longer with us. And she
mm.
goes, I'm not going to work with you on this. Just go through and read them, see what comes up, honor the emotions, the memories, and all this other stuff. And by the time I read them, I got everything I needed out of those letters, and I kept two for memories, and that's it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So, but it allowed me to go, oh my gosh, this was an insight to a very important transitional part of my life. And there were eye-opening things that came out of it, but I was able to take the memory of that. And there was some grief that came up about my mom, but I was ready to move to the next level past grief and bring in the lessons from those letters and integrate them. So,
Oh, very cool.
but the first step is grief because you might miss these things.
Right. And there's lots of stages of grief, right? It's I wrote them down because I can never remember them all, but there's denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and acceptance. And, and you can go
Mm,
through some of them pretty fast, and it doesn't mean they're always gone,
right?
right? So things can show up and you'll have that memory again, but you don't have to have the physical part of it in your brain all the time. If I could just say something here, I was thinking about all of the stuff that's around you has a memory attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have my computer, I have my phone. I'm at my sister's house. There's this blanket that I knitted for her, or I crocheted for her. Maybe I knitted it. I don't remember. Anyway, but every time she sees the blanket, she's reminded of me.
Right.
Now, luckily we have a really good relationship, but it operates in the background all the time. And your brain has to filter tens of thousands of pieces of information every few seconds and has to decide what information to keep and what information to let go of. And every time you walk past that box, every time you think about that box, it's got the letters in it. It's like, I should do something about the box. Why don't I do something about the box? What's going on with that box? Why can't I let go of that box? Right. And it distracts you from whatever it is you're up to. Right.
And if you hold on to the old, there's no room for the new.
Right.
It was taking up space on a shelf,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there was
Mm-hmm.
no room for new things.
Yeah. So say more about your process. So you guys went through that. So tell me, first of all, why did you decide to bring in a professional? Like you couldn't do it
Because
yourself? You couldn't do it yourself?
I'm so emotionally attached. As much as I love to talk about emotions, sometimes when it's like your own emotions, you're like, oh, I can't do it, right? So I look at the item and I can see everything that's great about the item,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't always see like how it fits into the new thing. So the cool thing about this is the professional works with you and says, what's the vision of this room? What's the feeling? What's the process? What do you want to get out of this room? So you look
Okay.
at the big picture, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you kind of say, okay, here's where we are. Then you have to get rid of stuff to create.
Okay.
So it's kind of like what we do for people is we help them build like, that guiding light, that North Star. So you have a guiding light for the room or the house or the other stuff. And then you have the roadmap that gets you there. So things have to come out to be able to leave. Now I will tell you, there's a couple things that sometimes they do that you're trying to go about it and you're like, this doesn't work. So like a storage of reams of paper, or this, that, and the other in my office. I didn't like where they ended up. I was like, this just doesn't make sense to me. It's not quite as easy as I thought. So that's fine. Lesson learned, moved them in a
Mm-hmm.
different location, moved some other stuff around. But there is that so you get the big picture vision, you kind of have like some other roadmap. And the hard part is she knows things that I don't know. And I don't know. Right.
Mm.
So she goes, oh, let's look at this and let's go, what's in the way, and let's remove those things so we can create what needs to happen in the room. But when there's a
Okay.
bunch of clutter in the room and you don't even realize it's there because you get used to it,
Right.
you don't know it's there until a fresh set of eyes come in.
Mm-hmm. You're driving around the obstacles is what happens.
Yeah. It could be a cat or a squirrel on the road. It could be a tree. It could be a parked car. It could be a couple
Yeah.
speed bumps, but you're like, wait a minute, there's a bunch of
Potholes. Yeah.
and then there's a pothole and you actually plant the flower in it so it looks good. But
Instead
it's
of
in the middle of the
instead
road,
of
right?
fixing the pothole, right?
So we
I
get
think
used to this. Yeah.
I think we're good at that, right? Where it's
Mm.
easier to just keep adjusting and fixing instead of adjusting and putting a Band-Aid on things instead of really fixing it. Okay.
Just like when you go to renovate the house, you got to do the structural stuff before the beautiful thing.
Right. Okay. So you hired someone because um, and I think it's a lot of it's because you have this great emotional capacity, and you can hold on to things for a long time, and it doesn't always get in the way. But you decided that you couldn't take it anymore, right? Now, how about so you started with a room, create a vision for the room, you get the trash out, then you get out, then it's get the easy stuff out, right? The stuff that's okay. So this belongs in a bedroom. This belongs in a bathroom. I don't know why it's in your office, right? This belongs in the kitchen, right? So, then you have to kind of figure out how to make it all fit, right? So you can consolidate things, or you buy a bookshelf or something like that. So you started that room by room. Now I know that in your office, I think you share. You might share with your husband has a desk in there, right? So Fred has a desk.
So there's a family desk over here.
Okay.
So my husband has an office on the third floor.
Okay.
I have an office on the first floor, and then I share it after 5 with my family. There's a family desk.
Okay, great.
So
Okay.
things like bills and all that other stuff and processes for family go on that desk.
Okay, good. Okay, so you guys sorted out how to make that happen. Then there's the rest of the house, right? So you started moving things out. Now things are not in the office. Now they're in the living room or in the dining room. And then you have to figure out, do they stay or do they go, right? Plus whatever goes on in that room.
Yes.
Now,
do you know what's really interesting?
What?
People don't know how many things they really have until they gather them together.
You mean like a pile, or like I have 18 of these and 4 of those and 12 of these and
right.
Oh, both.
Right. So like staplers, you're like, wow, I didn't know I had 12 staplers because they were in different locations. Well, it's kind of good because each of the kids needs one, so they have one on their desk now, but we can donate the other 8.
Right. Okay. So were Fred and the kids involved in the decluttering?
In their rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. So Fred actually, was okay with me decluttering in the main house, since I'm the one with a family history of things being passed down. So, his family doesn't have households upon households of parents passing down, antiques or other stuff, or paintings or pictures, or so, for example, like this mirror back here was my grandmother's. I know exactly where it hung in her house, and then I knew where it hung, at my parents' house, and then it's on our wall. But it's part of the vision of this room, so I love it.
Okay. All right. So if we think about that in terms of somebody's office, right? You have history from when you had your first job. Maybe you're carrying some things from your first job, your first couple of years, your second few years, you leave a company, or you move down the hall, or you move to another location within the company, or you go to another company, and you're still carrying all that stuff around. It's kind of like, hey, yep, I'm ready to move, but let me get my baggage first. Okay. I got to get all this stuff, right? Hang on. Wait. Okay. Oh, all right. Now it's time to start working. Wait. Okay. I can't work with all this stuff. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm just going to set it over here. Okay. But now, wait. But now I think I might need this. Well, no, it doesn't quite work. Maybe I need another one. Right. It's kind of like our baggage becomes like that, right? We carry it around.
Right.
We can, and it's from so long ago.
Yeah.
I always think about, like when I let go of things like that, I've moved a lot of times. So I've really gotten it down to, it doesn't take all that long, but it's really the kitchen that always takes forever. But it's almost like I'm giving up a part of me. Like if I throw that thing away, that thing from my mom, or that thing that my daughter gave me when she was 3, because her dad gave her $5 to go pick something out. She didn't know what she was picking out, but it was important that she gave a gift. Well, I don't need that thing. It's falling apart. It was, a $5 thing from the dime store or the dollar store or whatever. And it's, you worry about, will I forget that? Will that person forget me? Will I forget that part of my life? Right. And I think that's one of the big things that people run into when they're preparing to go from one kind of an office into another kind of an office. All the awards that are on the wall, are those going to be important in your new life, or are they going to be a bad memory, or bring up or remind you of what you had, as opposed to, is that something that needs to be in storage for a while, or is it going to help you on your roadmap?
Right.
Right. When you get in the car.
so funny. I was leaving a job in Cincinnati, taking a job in Chicago, packed up my desk in Cincinnati with the same firm and sent my boxes to Chicago, show up in Chicago, but I was also traveling a lot. So I wasn't there for like the first 6, 7 weeks.
Mm,
They got lost. I was like, oh, well. Yeah, at that point in time, I was like, I guess I'm just not meant to have these. It's just clutter I didn't need. And they were the crystal awards or the marble carved things and, employee of the
mhm.
year, that kind of stuff. Um, and that's all with me. So it's not like it didn't go away.
Right.
I
I
just
think
didn't
like,
need more things to dust.
well, I think like if it's like certain jobs, like a doctor, lawyer, sometimes you need to have some of those things up to demonstrate your credibility, right? Whereas you can't always do that in a 5-minute conversation. You don't say, and I won this award, and I won this award, and I went to this place, and I got this degree from here. And the awards let the client know. But a lot of us don't have jobs where that's required. If we're the only one in the office, we need to put things up that remind us of our future,
Yeah.
that keep us in possibility, right? I remember the first time so I hadn't moved in a long time, and we moved from, I forget, I don't remember from where to where, but there was a lot of things that we were moving from my parents because my parents had passed away, and we had like 10 boxes, and we we put them downstairs in the basement and said, okay, every 3 months we're going to go through these boxes and clear. The commitment is to get 3 more boxes emptied. So it either goes to Goodwill, goes to trash, goes to somebody, because I wasn't quite ready to go through all of those things, but I didn't have to put them up, right? I didn't have to hang the pictures. I knew I didn't want those pictures. I didn't want a wall of dead people. It's really what it would have been. And half the people, I didn't even know who they were, right? There were no names on the back, but we hang on to some of that stuff like somebody's going to care in the future. So I think it's, like when you talk about decluttering, that's really important, that we have to have a system for holding on to the things we're going to deal with later. Do you have like a
Yeah.
boxes to deal with later?
hmm So there are some processes we've had to keep going back to, those letters, for example, she knew that I wasn't going to go through those right away. She's like, look, when you get an opportunity, read these, figure out what you want to do with them. You'll know after you hold each one and you read it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, but there's the main processes are yes, keep, I can't decide, and throw away or donate.
Okay.
But it is so important. Like I had 3 pairs of shoes recently that I just adore. Like, Maria Kondo says, only hold on to things that you love. And I looked at them and I go, I love them, but I don't know. There's a reason I'm not wearing them. So is it that they're not comfortable? So I had them out on the floor in my bedroom to kind of decide. Well, I have a puppy. She
Yeah.
made the decision for me. So I was like, okay, I took too long. And that was just ridiculous that it took me that long to make a
Right.
decision. But I looked at them and loved them. But after a point of time, when you walk by them so often, you don't have anything except for it's taking up space.
Right. Right. You're
And
blind. You're blind to it, really.
I-
It's kind of like when people get their house ready to go on the market, and then they get rid of all the clutter and go, I really kind of like this house. Why did I wait
right?
so why did I wait so long to paint it or do something else with it? Right. Because there's
Right.
so much stuff that we accumulate that we don't realize, and we don't need it.
Mhm.
And I think that it's just really, so I want to hear how it went for the kids. Like, how are they about all of it? Like, are they happy, sad? They're really whatever.
You know, um, they would probably hate me if they heard me say this out loud. I've heard there's a benefit of giving fewer gifts to kids,
Mm,
right? So, and like rotating the gifts or rotating their toys. So it's like they don't have too many options because then they get analysis paralysis. So we've talked about that before.
right.
If there's too many things in front of you, sometimes you get paralyzed. Um, but each one of them at a certain point, like, got to Abby was okay getting rid of some things except for her stuffed animals. And it's really interesting. They're in bags in the basement. And she's like, I want to give them to my daughter. And I'm like, oh God, I don't think they realize when they're kids, like how gross they are. They might be slobbering all over them and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you have to have a process to get them clean, to store them. And she just threw them in garbage bags and put them in the basement on the shelf where the letters were. So they took up space where the letters were. So it's actually a process for the kids. So it depends on where they are with regards to letting go. I personally like just keeping one or two things, but the more we're getting rid of as a household, my husband and I, and especially me getting rid of, since I have the majority of the stuff, probably everyone else is letting go. So Joey said the other day, he's like, I don't know why I hold on to some of these things. And I was like, well, if you do decide they're important, you need to have a home and a process for them.
Right.
Whatever that looks like, because when you need it or want it, you got to know where to look for it.
Yeah. Well, I think, so it's 11:25. That was that noise that just went off, a little alarm to let us know.
Oh, yeah.
We've been going over our time the last couple of sessions, which is fine. But I think we think this is a really important conversation. It's especially now. Well, and maybe tomorrow we can talk more about this, Liz, but this notion of why it's so important to do it when you're making a move. So it's not just about in the current space you're living in, but when you think about the holidays coming up, especially if you're thinking about moving during the holidays, now is the perfect time to be decluttering. It's a really great time to give things to Goodwill. So when people are shopping for things and they don't have a lot of money, they have really beautiful things to choose from at a location like a Goodwill or some sort of thrift shop. That's just so important. But we can't stress enough how important it is when you start something new. Your office needs to reflect your new future, your new vision, right?
Including your business cards.
Right.
Like if you want to meet new people, get rid of the old ones.
Yeah.
Put them in some kind of electronic storage, but get rid of them.
Right. And you know what? There really is pain associated with this. And we've kind of laughed a lot about it, but we also know that there's a lot of pain associated with it. And a lot of times we won't take action until we're up against a wall or we feel some pain. And it's just important to start the action soon, right? If you're really thinking about it, if you're thinking in the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to be in a new spot, or you're dreaming about it, start decluttering, because then that gives the new opportunity space to come in, right? If you are still doing the same thing over and over again, the way you've always done it, there's no room for a new opportunity. So simply by taking these new actions and starting to declutter, you'd be surprised at what happens. And that's part of the process that we use with people. Is we have so many tools, and then whenever you use a tool, then an emotion shows up, right? So we have tools and tips and tricks, and how you deal with getting the straitjacket off. And we would really love to be able to chat with people about that. We're so committed to women, well, anybody really, but women specifically, in having what they want. And almost always the financial component is what stops them.
Yeah. And the financial straitjacket is, we've made it look really pretty.
Yeah. And with a straitjacket, you really kind of have to rip it off. There's no part way on, part way off. And we'd love to help you rip that jacket off so you can have the life that you love. So, so a couple of courses we want to remind you guys of. So we have the Money Master Plan Mastermind, which is do-it-yourself videos and workbooks, but you come together with a community 1 day a week where you get to try on lots of ideas, check in, get coached with each other, with us. And we love that program right now. It's on sale, 25% off. If you go to shimula.com and email us, and we will get you the discount code. And then we have the Crack the Money Code to Your Wealth, which is a all do it online program. And we're offering it free for vets, for our veterans through the end of December. We're so excited about that. But it's such a great program, $449. From the day you register, you have 6 months to complete the process. And you can get coaching from us on a regular basis through the WhatsApp app. So anything else you want to say, Liz, as we wrap up today?
You know what? And just reach out to us. If you're struggling and money is the reason that you're not changing your careers or creating the life you want or any of that other stuff, or launching the business that you keep thinking about, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I just don't have the money for this. It's like, well, you know, it's about maybe you're not making enough. Maybe the opportunities that are supposed to open, we're looking through this windshield. And if the past is in the windshield, then we get more of the same. We got to make sure that you declutter it so that in the windshield is the future that you're creating, just like we were saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we want for those of you who want to make the leap, we are 100% behind you. And the reason we're doing these programs is to help you think about what do you need to think about. And it's not to give you so much information that you're paralyzed and now you're not able to jump because of everything we've been telling you. But get on our calendar. Phone call's free. We would love to chat with you, help you get clarity on where you're headed and where's the gap for you. What's stopping you from making the move right now? And we'd love to chat. So
absolutely.
Anyway, so have a great day, and we'll be back here tomorrow at 11.
Sounds great. Thank you.